Okay. So, Gerry, how do you feel and what do you want to get from today?
I feel really excited about today, actually, especially after last week going through Megan's uh, side of the business. So I'm very excited about probably touching a little bit on Iconic's side. And what I'd like to get out of today is just to see how we can learn a bit more about the business and move forward. I suppose it was interesting to find out what we learned about Haven last week. Megan, and you, how do you feel today, and what would you like to get out of today?
So today I'm a little bit sleep deprived, but I'm excited for our meeting, Kelly, because I feel like I'm slowly starting to get a better understanding of the figures. After last week, I went back and revised my notes, and then that's why I think the reporting was really good, because I went over it again, and there was a lot of things that I missed, or that I kind of at first when you said it, I may not have sunk in to begin with. So I guess today I'm looking forward to just moving forward and just learning about the figures and learning about how we move forward. Kelly, sorry.
Okay, how do I feel? I'm actually enjoy. What I enjoy is you actually go away and apply. And to me, the biggest gift that we have is choice, right? And with choice, you can make a decision. Like you've got all these choices, but ultimately you have to get to a decision. Now, do you make an informed decision, or do you make an uninformed decision? And for me, most times when I listen to people and I work with people, I don't think people quite understand that we evolve, and sometimes you evolve unknowingly.
Yeah.
And so you watch so many people unknowingly evolve to what they don't want to be, and they forget choice. They forget, I have the choice. I can be this or I can be that. And so to me, what I'm really about is designing by looking at all my choices, making a decision about which way I go, and then living with it and allowing it to work itself through. So what I like, and I can tell you, I really like your branding, Gerry. I really like the way you've done all of your vehicles, all of that stuff. To me, I don't know whether you've ever done any studies on sun-written vehicles.
No.
Okay, because I'm a franchisor, I've done studies on it.
Okay.
And you've seen on the back of taxis, you've seen where they've advertised.
Yep. Yes.
It's about $250 a week.
Yep.
And have you seen the stationary billboards?
Yes.
There could, depending on where you put them, they can be up to $1,000 a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see the motorbikes that go around with all the signs, and you can see all the stuff that goes around. I can, for the life of me, not understand why people don't have their branding just moving everywhere.
Yeah.
So your branding is very strong. I like the way the vehicle's branded. I like the colors of it. And it really says something about you and your business. I've also noticed since working with you guys, there's an awful lot of concrete businesses that are starting to do what you're doing.
Really?
Yes. In around where I live, Mount Albany, I see them everywhere. All the sidewalks. And I noticed on your picture on that, you had a sidewalk. Do you work for the councils?
Well, we have done work for the council. We have done a small contract. However, we're trying to push to get into that area. There's a site that I've found, and we need to register and get on board with them, and then we can have the option to quote some government jobs. because I know there's some really good money in these government jobs, and they're usually really simple, easy stuff. And the ones that we have, well, the one that I have done in the past, like it was just easy money, and it cost me very, very little. So I'd like to sort of push that avenue this year and see if we can get some council work.
Well, you got good branding for it, but when you're working with governments or councils or large businesses, one of the absolute keys of it, absolute keys of it, is occupational health and safety.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So you don't have photographs in thongs.
No, that probably is not the best one. No.
You understand my point?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hearing it.
So it's not that if you're going to go to that into that area, one of the things that you'll really find is they're very, very compliant oriented.
Correct. Yep.
And so and we can help you do all of that too. But when you do that, that's how you build a business.
Yeah.
Business is generally about compliance.
Yes.
Yep. Even down to your books.
Yep.
I did a little bit of investigation for you last week.
Yep.
Because I really do think, Meghan, you do too much. I looked at these people. I went and spoke to them about what they actually do. And they prepare a lot of information and do it digitally for tax returns and getting a lot of that stuff done. So you said, well, which accounting package should I use? To me, accounting packages are accounting packages. Is how you manipulate the information.
Yeah.
And so I looked at these people, and you can see there's so many of them coming up and around. And I'm not recommending them. I've just said I went and spoke to them after we spoke last week, because I really do think you can take on too much.
Yeah, sure.
And then the administration of a business at the end of it, and the way you package a business, is what's really important. Because if you remember, there's two reasons to own a business. One is the cash flow and the lifestyle the cash flow creates. And two, the future value. And so both of you are on the way of building future value. You've got cash flow. You might not have as much cash flow, and it might not be as profitable as you want it to be, but you do have cash flow. Now what we have to do, an asset is created always by what's left over. And so when you start to design your business, it's going to be important to know what you're good at. And in a lot of ways, bookkeeping and compliance is a pain in the ass. And what we have to do is we have to find what we think will be, really the balance between your lifestyle and your asset building. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yep.
And what's really good is both of you have started with this idea of creating brands. And really, in a business, a brand is what you sell.
Yeah.
Right? And the more they can see your prints or your particleizations of your brands, the stronger the brand will be. So driving around with your trucks, Gerry,
yep,
and your sign writing on your trucks, even though the government makes it tax deductible to us, as a revenue creator, if your trucks are driving around with somebody else's name on them, doing the amount of driving, it's probably worth about $1,000 a week.
Yeah, we've picked up a lot of work just from the vehicles getting around, because I asked them, where'd you get my number from? And one guy, I saw you in a drive-through, we saw your truck, we're parked behind you at the set of lights, that sort of stuff. So it definitely pays off, and it's paid the sign writing off probably 10 times so far. So
well, hopefully the sign writing was tax deductible.
Yes, and it is, yeah.
All right. So how do I feel? I feel really good about working with you guys because I can see that you're really wanting to make decisions and you're wanting to get on with it. And so, Megan, even though you are a superwoman, and I get it because you're holding two jobs or, you know, the house, the child, and a second job and running a business, sooner or later you're going to have to work out that there's things that are make more sense if you delegate them outwards so that you can produce more money.
I'm more than happy to, Kelly.
Well, you know, I've heard that before too, but you know, my wife Anna does all of our books and is really very, very good at it.
It's not. I can do some of it, but it's not my area of expertise. So I'm very happy to find someone and to be able to work with someone.
All right. Well, let's start thinking about what we started with last week. And what I want to start with each week is when it's all said and done, you have to really start to set goals and work out how you can monitor those goals to get to where you want to be.
Yep.
Right. And so, Gerry, we're going to have to do this for Icon as well, or Iconic.
Yep.
You've got 15 guys working for you today on the payroll?
Correct.
Wow.
Yep.
And all that's being monitored really well?
Yes. Yes.
So we need to see the numbers on how you do that.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You're clearly good with spreadsheets?
No, but I can supply the information and then I can delegate the.
Supply me the information and I'll do the spreadsheet.
Okay, no worries. Done.
Remember what I said to you is I only really charge you for this session, but I honestly do not mind doing a little bit of homework. So if you supply me the numbers, I'm really very good at creating formulas.
Okay.
And I can show you a formula that I work off, and eventually we'll have formulas for both your businesses.
Oh, great, that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, and so if you can supply me that information, I'll do a spreadsheet for you.
Okay.
And then I'll send you some of the stuff that we work on. But it's really very important for us to be able to look at the numbers and gauge how to drive something.
Yeah.
One of the real issues about people in business is they don't understand how to drive a business. Now, what we're going to look at, Megan, and I want to look at it as part of what we do every week, so you get used to doing it.
Yep.
Same thing applies to you, Gerry. We'll put up the numbers, and then we'll look at what the numbers are telling us. You know, when words will tell you a story, numbers measure the story.
Yep.
Right? And so what we have to do is we have to learn how to measure our stories. So last week, we started to say, okay, what we need to be doing is understanding exactly how we got to a number, and then we agree upon those numbers. So if you remember, I said it, and I really wasn't, I needed to jog my own memory in terms of how I got to a number. Remember when we were doing that?
Yes.
Okay. And what I said was our total sales this year have got to be this number here, right?
Yes.
And then I said, how did I get to that number? I got to that number by dividing by 0.65 of this number here, 192. Right? Because that brings me back to my whole. I'm sure, yes, it's the 192, because I realize that we've got to get you to a profitable position, right? 394. So when you divide it, quite simply, what it does is brings it back to a new whole, right? So 65%, and we needed to get to this 321. And I'm always multiplying or dividing. I'm not adding and subtracting. Okay, so if you look at that, that becomes in relationship to this.
Yep.
All right. Now, what we said is having got that number, having got that number there, what we said was we have to now set our targets on a monthly, weekly, and daily basis. Now, the reason why we do that is and especially in your business, Gerry, you can achieve all your sales in the last day of the month. You could hit budget on the last day of the month, couldn't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Some days we have some cracking days.
Yeah. But Meghan doesn't have that luxury.
No.
Right. She can actually just about hit it. She can hit in one day a weekly. Right. We know that you've had your highest day is about 3, 4 or somewhere around there. Right. So you can just about hit your weekly target in one day. Whereas Gerry can hit a monthly target in one day. So we have to work out exactly what causes that to happen. Is this making sense so far?
Yes.
So, Meghan, what's important to us for your business is we've got to watch this movement here. Not that it's going to do anything other than create a focus. Right? So, and really, I've got the arrows in the wrong place, haven't I?
Yeah, I thought it.
The arrows should be on these ones here.
Yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Okay, and so what can you tell me about your daily sales last week? Hang on. We'll put it on this so that we can hold you accountable.
I actually just started this week, Kelly, but I can tell you my total from last week.
Okay, what was your total from last week?
4600.
4600. Okay, so what that says is that you're still really just above your expenses, right? And so when we look at that and we say, okay, we've done 4600, and really our target was 68. So what percentage of our target did we hit? Gerry, you got a calculator there?
Yes.
Okay, what percentage of her 680188? How much of it did she make?
I don't even know how to calculate it on this calculator. How do you do it? How do I work that on the calculator, Kelly? Because I wouldn't know where to start.
Okay, let me do it on my calculator.
Can you throw it on this? Okay, I was good. Yeah.
I'll do it so that I can get to it, so that we don't get caught up in mess. Okay, the way I would do it is I'd look at it and I'd say 6801.
Yep.
0.88 divided by 4600
Oh yeah.
equals 147. So that's actually let me do it another way. So 6800 147. So let me, my mind's in two or three places, but I'll work it out for you. But on the percentage wise, it looks close to about 66% to me. And I'll work it out in a minute. But when you're looking at that, now we have to, how do we accelerate that? How do we accelerate your 46 into more sales? How do we do that?
Either sell more products or get more clients.
No. You've got to look at what's going to drive you to sell more products. That's the obvious answer, Gerry. The thing I'm getting at is, how do I get it so that I know? And really, the number I'm watching on a daily basis is this one here, 1,133.65. That's a daily basis because it aggregates to the weekly basis. So if I look at it on a daily basis, not that it's going to really do anything other than drive you crazy. You understand, Megan?
Yeah.
That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to say, how can I make this where I want it to be? Okay, so you've got some numbers. This is weekly. All right. Now, what are your numbers in the last few days?
Okay, so my numbers for the last 2 days. Monday was 490.
490.
So did you want the difference or just the numbers?
Just the numbers. So you sold $490 on the Monday, right?
So Tuesday was 983.
Now we're talking. 900.
83.45.
Okay. So you can see Monday. So is Monday a good day for you?
Not normally. Normally it's quiet, but I've been doing a lot of promoting of I've done a mums and bubs day on a Monday. So we welcome in like mothers to bring their babies in with them.
Yeah.
And just promote, like, to make them feel comfortable if the baby's screaming or crying or that sort of stuff. So this Monday I had, I think, 5 clients come in that were mums, which normally, and they were new clients.
Very good. Okay, so what we can see is both Monday and Tuesday are down.
Yep.
Okay, now Tuesday is getting us very close to where we're wanting to be, because if we look at Tuesday, the real secret of it is that it's very close. It's in the high 70s as a goal, right? And if it goes to the high 70s, that tells you that in that day you have a perceived profit. How do you know that?
I'm not sure how. Because it's higher than the 0.65.
By the 0.65, which means that when you're starting to look at that, 983.45 will actually get you to the understanding that you're really very close to, you're beyond break even. That's what it's telling me right now. So Tuesday is really, when you look at it, Tuesday's a plus day.
Yep.
Monday's a negative day.
Yeah.
So you start to play these little games. And our ideal game, you don't want to be so diminished that you feel like what's the point of it. So Tuesday is actually beyond a break-even day. If we go to 1,133.65, that's our bell ringing day. Do you understand my point?
Yeah.
We ring the bell and say, yeah, baby, we're on it. But at 938.45, you're just not going to hit the target that we're talking about, but you're actually going to do quite well. You understand my point, Gerry?
Yeah, can I just go back a second? So this 0.65, where did we come up with that number from again?
10, 10, and 10. 10% savings,
Yep.
right? 10% tithing, 10% investing. It's money left over. So if you look at now we can use the numbers, right? And you say go 1,000. Put it on your own calculator so you can work it out yourself. Go on your calculator. Go 1,133.65 and times it by 0.9, and what do you get?
65 times 0.9 equals 1,020.
1,020. That means you're at 90% of your goal. Now take 133.65 and times it by 8. 0.8, sorry.
6, 5, 1, 3, 3, 6, 5. $906.92.
So what does that tell you, Megan?
That I'm not.
You're at 80%. You're beyond 80% of your goal.
Yeah.
So what was that number again?
906.92.
Okay, so let's create a little chart for you. 906. What was the 90%?
It was like 1,020 or something. I'll just double check it. So 1,133.65 multiplied by 0.9 equals 1,020.
Okay, so that's 1,020. Now go 0.7.
So 1,133.65 multiplied by 0.7 is $793.
793. Now go times 0.65.
Multiplied by and then multiplied by 0.65 is $736.
Now do you understand, Megan?
Yes. Kelly, I think just checking, I understand that now, the percentage side, but what Gerry said with the 0.65, is that when you calculated that from the other day? I think I'm a little bit confused about that.
Yeah, I sort of lost that 0.65 where we come up with that number.
I thought we were increasing our total expenses last year by 0.65 to get to our total sales this year.
Yes, that's exactly right. And so when you look at the 192,000, right, I didn't think you're going to decrease your expenses. So if you look at your expense at 209, that's greater than your expense the year before.
Yeah.
So we've allowed for you to have more expense.
How do you get to the 0.65 though, Kelly?
Because what I'm saying is you don't only allow for the 192, you've got to allow for what you have to sell to create beyond the 192. So when you're looking at the I got to 321, 729, 10.
Yep.
That's the sales you have to make this year for you to have $112,000 left over. And I base that on, you see, if you look at the 209,000, at the 209,000, that's what I expect your expenses. I've got to hold your expenses to 209,000. You can't allow your expenses to creep out while you increase your sales. And so I put the boundary on it by saying my total sales is going to be 321, 729, 10.
Yep.
That's the boundary of my goal. Now, inside that boundary is the expense.
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying you're probably not going to be able to hold the same expense. But I can't allow it just to drift out because, oh, I've made more sales. No, I've got to hold my expense as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I've done that because what I'm wanting to see is a margin of 112,605.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, take 112,605.18. Put that on your calculator.
1, 2.
Now, times that by 0.9.
5 times 0.9 is 101,344.
See what it does, Megan? So by doing that, at your 983, you can work out for the year if you maintain that habit. Because what we're trying to do is create a new pattern. And you create the pattern by the day-to-day habit or behavior. Now, 983.45 is actually very good, right? Compared to 490, you know, the 490, if you look at that, you get down there and put yourself, let's do it the way I calculated, and I just didn't give you a percentage. Take 113365.
Yep.
And times it by 0.47.
Is 532.81. $532.81.
See what it's saying? It's 47% of your goal. You understand that, Megan?
I do. I just that calculation just confused me.
Yeah, just confused me a bit.
Okay. So if you take 1,133.65,
Yep.
now times it by 0.45.
1133.
Where's the 0.45 from, Kelly?
Because when I did my calculation, it showed 1.47, which was showing me that it was around 47%.
Okay.
But we know, and I knew then that it wasn't correct. So then I said, okay, well, if you want to work it now, what is it now?
$510. So we know it's less than 45%.
It's less than 45% of our goal. It's about 42, 43% of our goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
You understand what I'm doing now, Megan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just struggling to follow some of the math, but I understand what you're doing now. Yeah.
Okay, it's not really about mass. It's about halves and wholes.
Yep.
It's about fractions of. We've got a goal. That's a whole goal.
Yep.
Now, what part of that goal did you achieve? So Tuesday, you achieved 80-odd%.
Yeah.
And so you can actually, when you look at your target, our target is 1,133.65. That's our target.
Yep.
And each day, now you know how to calculate how close to your goal are you, or are you over or under your goal?
Yeah.
But what I don't want to do is I don't want to make the goal the overarching thing that you're doing. But I do want to keep track of profitability.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
Yep.
So at 490, you're losing money.
Yes.
But if you can get it, if it's over the 0.65, right, you're breaking somewhere near even. Everything over that is starting to be a plus. Even though it's not going to hit our goal, it's still a plus. Do you understand my point now?
Yep.
So now when you're looking at a number, don't just look at the number as a dollar value, look at it as part of our goal value. Is this making sense, Gerry?
Yes. Yep. I'm all
Very.
over.
All I want to do is drive your mind crazy with games.
Yeah, that's fine. It just took me a little bit to process those numbers, but now we've sort of gone over them again. Yeah, no, it makes total sense to me.
Yeah, if I get rid of those numbers there. Right, and now what we can do is next week, what I want you to do is get used to sending me those beforehand. And I also want to know, and we can look at the percentage. And what you're going to start to see is your mind will start taking you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Okay, is this making sense, Gerry?
Yeah, mate. Yep. Yep. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay, good. Let's see if I can get to the next page.
Yep.
Now, I wasn't expecting you to be here, Gerry.
No, I know. I didn't think I was going to be in. Then last night I had a couple of extra guys ring up, so I said, "Yeah, you can go in there." So they've filled my spot. So.
Okay, so now we go to Gerry's point.
Okay.
You know what your point was, Gerry?
No. What was my point?
You got to increase sales.
Oh, yes. Got to increase sales. Correct. Yep.
All right. Okay, so now you can still see the screen, okay?
Yes. Yep. Perfect.
Okay. Now, I have to say I was quite surprised at my daughter's interpretation of this, of what you did. And my daughter lives for her face and her hair. That's it. You know, she says, "Dad, you got to take care of your assets. My assets, my hair, and my eyelashes and everything else." And she does spend a lot of money on it. And her response to this is, "Well, how far away are they?" Which means she would use you.
Okay.
So what that tells me is your pricing is, because she's as tight as a fish's mom. You know, she really does, she really is very careful with her money.
Yep.
And so when we lay this out, the next part that we got to watch in getting to that $1,133, question is, how do you get there? What do you have to sell to get there? What do you have to focus on? And so we need to not only look at how much is sold, but we have to look at what you sold.
Yeah.
And I actually, the way this is laid out, I like it. The only part for me that I find hard, she by the way loved your logo, and she loved the colors of your logo. So that has to tell me that it's current, because she just turned 20.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that tells me that she's more in tune with colors of what you're doing than I am. For me, it's too hard for my eyes, right? And that may be just the way it comes up on the screen, but the concept is actually very good. Now, what we have to do is we have to start thinking, what is it that we're going to promote to get to our $1,133 on a daily basis? What customers do we have to attract, and how do we attract them? Okay, so when I'm looking at this, again, if we look at your sparkle in terms of, and almost that could be like a face brush, couldn't it?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
When I did it originally, I think they did it because it was a piece of coral and it was calming, but I kind of thought it looked more like a makeup brush.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
And then the palette of Haven Beauty Bar is like an eyeshadow, isn't it? So in a lot of ways, the way that you might be able to enhance that is getting it to look away from the coral a little bit and more into the brush. You understand my point? And the palette, you know, You know what your PMS is on your colors?
I don't know what PMS is, sorry.
That's the color. Like if you look up color, PMS is the color allocation for branding. Same thing with you, Gerry. We're going to have to look at all the PMS for your branding manual.
Okay, actually. PMS.
I'll send you, after this call, I'll send you a branding manual that we'll start to create.
Kelly,
All right.
I had one created, but I don't think I have that in it. I just had the basic.
We'll send it to me and then we'll have a look at it.
All right.
Because what it should do is it should save you the time. But when you go to replicate, because you want to divisionalize your business, right? When you go to divisionalize the business, you don't want to have to repeat everything. You want it already taken care of.
Yep.
Yeah.
So our job is not only just to look at the goal of profitability, we've got to look at the goal of assetability. You understand my point? Because you want to build an asset. And in building that asset, remember we're talking about feed forward, feedback.
Yeah.
So you fed me this forward. I took feedback from people. Getting feedback from me on this is not a good idea, right? Because I really don't understand your business. I just understand business. So I went to people that I said, okay, and I didn't just show my daughter, I showed her friends. Because in her bathroom, I had to put in lights, makeup lights. And I'd hate to show you how many brushes she's got. That's why as soon as I look at that, I thought it was a brush.
Yep.
Now, again, as we're going through the colors, I'm also understanding all the color palettes.
Yep.
Right? And I just know what these girls look for and what they're really about. And so at the end, just before we finish today, and I won't tape it, I'll get you a couple of the color palettes that Liv uses that they think they scour the internet for the palettes. Yeah. Okay, and I think you see in a lot of ways on this here, your blue bleeds out. You can see the blue and the white. There's a bleeding. Yeah, it's exactly right. You got to look at the screen like that. So that says something about the way our eyes are picking it up. In a census, when you start to look at the way we gather information, your eyes are your single most important sensorial collection. That's why I'm so pedantic around your eyes. Right? Your eyes have actually got to be able to pick it up. And in a lot of ways, when you're looking at the fonts that you're using, what font are you using on your pricing and everything else you're doing?
I'm using one called OleoScript, which is the pretty like cursive one. And then I think the other one I'm using is called Able, ABEL. That's
okay.
Block font.
You need to look at Google and you need to look at companies like that and look at the fonts. Do you think that their fonts is a chance?
No.
There's no chance in the fonts. I think that you need to look at the font as well. And it's you don't necessarily want to change the colors. You remember when I said you want it to pop? And you'll get this to pop by changing the font. Now, once we've got the font that you really like, that now becomes part your PMS, sorry, and your font become part of your branding manual.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's important to look at that. And it's important for us to say, okay, this is it. You can see in my mind, I get the color, but the information doesn't pop to me.
Yeah.
And that's really what I was saying about the front of your shop.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to do is I also want to understand what sells and what doesn't sell. So we need to start looking at all of these different aspects of your build a burger or your build a bar or whatever the heck you call it. I think it's very clever. What both of the young ladies and their friends said to me, because I asked the question, they said they like the choice.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't.
Yeah.
Personally, I would rather be told what's going to happen to me. But apparently, young women like the choice.
Yeah. Yes.
And so they're going to want to build, and they like the fact that they can build the package. So I think that that's reasonably reliable. Then what we have to do is get the information to pop.
Yes.
And so when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at to say, okay, love the skin you're in, Haven relaxation massage therapy, 30 minutes 65, 1 hour 90. Yeah.
Yep.
Full body exfoliation, $60. How long does it take for full body exfoliation?
30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yes.
You see, that seems to me like it's an added value. You understand my point? I don't see how it can be less than 65. And do you sell many of them?
No, not really. We actually don't do many massages.
Yes, but it could be a good money spinner, couldn't it? I don't know about the body massage, but I would have thought a beauty bar and full body exfoliation was something you can hang your hat on. Explain to me what a full body exfoliation is.
So you lay down on the bed and your body is just fully exfoliated. So we use a product, and what you do is you massage the product in. Then at the end of it, you hot towel the body to remove all the product, and then you pop on a moisturizer at the end. So it's just a really nice, thorough exfoliation all over.
That sounds good to me. What do you think, Gerry?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind one of them, but probably in a shower would be better. But anyway, that's my.
No, you and I would do it standing up, but we've got somebody working on us. I don't think I'd like the shower.
To be honest, I think a lot of women don't like it because they don't like certain parts. This is what I've found in the past. They don't like certain parts being kind of worked on.
So how do you, in my mind, full body exfoliation is something I could hang my hat on. It's something that's saying, we know you don't enjoy it, but here's the essentials of why it's in the bar. You understand my point? It now becomes education. But lowering the price of that against the massage makes no sense to me. I, in fact, would have that at $120.
Okay.
Because if someone's going to take it, being a lower expense is not going to make the difference. What makes the difference is how you educate them as to why you do it. This is a Haven beauty bar, sweetheart, or mate.
Yep.
Right? And what we are is we're world leaders in this thing. And our exfoliation massage is really very important because now, you know, you can say you can have a relaxation, but my understanding of it, beauty's hard work. You don't just get this look by, you know, doing nothing. In my case, you do, but you know, and I see all the effort that goes into the way people want to be body beautiful. You know, from tanning to eyebrows to all the rest of it. I think that that's something that you could consider as something to hang your hat on. You understand my point? It may not be, but I do think it's something that you can push out. If you could sell one or two of those a week, you know, it's representing 8 or 9% of your goal.
Yeah.
That's why you got to find, when you look at bikini and G-strings and stuff like that at $35, $40, those are what are called lollipops. You know, you just throw your money away and you do it.
Yeah.
But you've got to have something that you can hang your hat on, something that you can say, okay, we're really going to look at this. This is gender-specific advertising too, by the way.
Yeah.
So you don't want any men in your salon or your bar, sorry?
I do, but I guess our target clientele has been females, women.
Yeah, and it's very female.
Yeah.
And that almost excludes 50% of the market. Is that your intention?
Probably not. I'd like to have men come in, but I guess we're not really.
Well, how many places do you know are men friendly for this sort of thing?
Not one or two, not many.
Not many at all. And when I look at the areas surrounding you, do you think you have a lot more of the new age men?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that when you go down to the movie theaters and all around there, I would think that you've got a huge crowd of men that wear makeup and do skincare.
They'd do it right on my crew, wouldn't they, Kelly? Reckon they'd go all right?
I don't know. I don't think your concreters should be the guys that are going there, but they're not the guys that will go there.
No, exactly. They're going to the other bar that sell whiskey and.
Yeah. Let's do our shots. But in my mind, the branding has to be more gender neutral.
Yeah.
And the question is, do you want men in your salon or in your bar? Well, you call it a bar, so clearly.
Yes.
So, and that's another place where when you're looking at it, and the question is, would the women coming in feel okay knowing that there are men in there as well?
I believe so.
But now you're talking about the type of customers you want to attract. You see, my only goal is to get you to 1-3 or 1-1-3-3.
Yeah.
And I know that the way I'm going to do that is and do it easily is by your brand.
Yeah.
And the brand has got to make a statement. And when we make that statement, this brand is not neutral, gender neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know. What does it do to your eyes when you look at the page, Gerry?
Yeah, that green sort of makes me feel a bit calm. I don't know about the brownie sort of colour. It's sort of. Huh? Is it pink? It looks brown where I'm looking at. It does. It looks like a light brownish colour, like almost like a tan sort of colour. Like that bottle there. I don't mind it, but there is one question. If you look down the bottom where it says Bronze Goddess, right, and it's got a full body 2-hour tan for $30, so that's only $15 an hour. And then you look up to the 30-minute massage for $65, and I'm thinking, hang on, that's pretty good value, isn't it? For what? It's just something I picked up. 2 hours. Somebody's gonna.
It's a brown tan. You leave
Oh, so
on.
it doesn't. It's
No.
Oh.
You leave it on.
Oh, I thought you just do it for 2 hours. I'm thinking, I didn't know how it works. I'm asking the question. Because I would assume it was somebody's going to do a 2-hour body tan on me for 2 hours. But
it's still quite inexpensive for a salon. That's the price you would go to somebody's house for. You understand my point?
Yep.
Good pickup, Gerry.
Yeah, I just assumed it was a 2 hour session, but it's not. But there you go.
Yeah, but what it's saying is you'll have a beautiful tan in 2 hours, right?
Yeah, that's how I'm reading it.
Well, that's the way it is. Yeah.
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 Okay. And $30 is almost like how much product's involved?
30 mils of product, so it costs about $6 per tan.
Okay. $6 per tan. Okay, I want you to take the 6 and realize that it's got to be times by a minimum of 2.4.
So 16.
So your retailing on that product is $15.
Yep.
Okay, and now you've got the time of the individual involved.
Yep.
So how long did you say it takes?
I'd say 15 minutes.
Okay, so let's say all up 30 minutes by the time you prepare and everything's out the door and all the rest of it.
15 is the preparing, spraying, and out the door.
You're sure of that?
Yeah.
You're very efficient. Can we settle on 20?
Yeah.
Yes, let's settle on 20.
Okay, how much do you pay per hour?
48 including tax and super.
That you pay, so it's just over $50 an hour.
Yes.
So if we take that, unless from a taxation point of view, the way you work it out is 48 times 1.35. What's that come to?
$64.80.
Okay, $64.80 is closer to the true mark of what their expense is. Now take $64.80 and divide it by 3.
$21.60.
$21.60 is what the 20 minutes is costing you. So 21 plus 15 is 36, right?
Yep.
So we're already $6 down. Now, if we take the 21 and we say we're probably not going to get the same multiplier, but let's work out a formula that says the 21 has got to be at least 1.35. So take 21 times 1.35.
$28.35.
Okay, 28.35 plus 15.
Plus 15 equals $43.35.
That's where that's at its minimum.
Wow.
Does that make sense to you now, Megan?
Yeah, it does.
You see how I did it?
No, I didn't.
By working out my hourly rate multiplied by the tax rate
Yeah.
to give the amount per hour.
It's not the tax rate. When you're looking at the way tax departments work out stuff, they actually don't mind if it's times 1.35, and that takes into all your on costs, not your tax costs, but your on costs. So you've got all your on costs of those people being in that building. You've got all the on costs of the building.
Yeah.
And what you're doing at $30, you're competitive with the home sprayers. You're not a home sprayer.
Yeah.
You understand my point?
Yeah.
You're inside a brand. And remember what I said to you, that our job is to, first of all, create a margin, add value, make a profit.
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing, you can imagine what I'm going to do with your vehicles, Gerry.
Yep.
I'm going to show you how to make a profit, and you've got to add value while you make that profit. I get that $30 might sell, but so what? If it sells and you lose, why would you do it?
Yeah.
And in my mind, good pickup, Gerry. I hadn't got that far yet, but at $30, it's got to be $45.
Yeah.
And I know it may not be competitive in the marketplace, but when you add value, the reason why you add the value is because people trust Haven Beauty Bar. It's not about the price, it's about the value that you add. That's why we're taking the time to go over what this looks like.
Yeah.
We're taking the time to say, what are you trying to attract? Right? The reason why I'm chasing the fonts, your fonts are too hard to read. You got to make them pop off the page. I actually don't mind the colors at all, but I think they're gender bias. Right? I like the sparkle at the top, but I think that could actually be tilted just a bit to make it look more like a brush than a coral. Because we're not talking about a coral bar, we're talking about a beauty bar.
Yeah.
Right? And so whilst it's a really strong icon, does it say what you want it to say? You understand my point?
Yeah.
I went through 4 name changes on my business in less than 18 months. And I did that because it so bothered me that the name wasn't saying what it needed to say. And when you hit the name, people just fall in, they just come in by the droves.
Yeah.
Because they know what it's saying. And I guess in some ways, we're wanting to make sure we don't have mixed messages.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you're saying for appointments, please call this number, that reeks of old.
Yeah.
What do you think that we should be thinking about there, Megan?
Maybe just having something that stands out a bit more, like just having the number in bold, and maybe just call us or something a bit more.
People are heading towards text, Facebook, online bookings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It could be text us for your next appointment. When are you available? That's the way people use their devices today. In fact, it's almost against policy to talk to people on the phone. You got to text them, right?
Yeah.
We become a text world. So in that, your location is important, but the ways to contact you or connect to you are a lot more important, right? See us on our Facebook page, book on the Facebook page, times available, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
You understand where I'm heading with all of this?
I think that you're making it easier for the client to be able to book, to see what's available.
Yeah.
And a lot more easier to read.
Wow. And then the other thing that you can have is you can now start building your digital presence when they go there in your Facebook, and you can say, you know, our treatment of the week is full body exfoliation, and the reason why we do this treatment is yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Right? And you can say we are a beauty bar, and we're a whole body beauty bar. We're not gender biased and that sort of thing. You can build on your brand. I think that this has too much sameness in it, or saneness, if you like.
Yep.
You understand my point?
Not the last one.
It's the same as everyone else.
Oh, okay.
And really in business today, you've got to add value and be different.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going on to the next page. I'll let Eagle Eye get to you.
Me.
Well, who else is Eagle Eye?
Yeah, look, there's a lot that's sort of going on here, if you ask me, my opinion. With all these colours down the left-hand side, Skin Booster, $20, the greens, the purples, the yellows, the pinks. There's a lot going on for me. I'm sort of drawn everywhere, all over it. And it just seems a bit just thrown together. That's in my opinion.
Yeah, well, welcome to the world of old farts.
Yeah. Yeah, it just seems a lot of confusion going on there. It's not an easy layout. I don't know. Maybe it's those colours that are just throwing me with those dot points. Those colour dot points are sort of just throwing me out. They don't seem to work, those colours, with everything. It just seems like they're just random chosen colours. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and again, I can tell you that the feedback that I got on is they love this page.
Wow. Yeah.
But I think at some level it doesn't, again, it doesn't pop.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean by pop now, Megan?
Yeah, I do.
And you know, when you go seasonal peel and stuff like that, skin renewal, you've still used your coral, but you've changed the color of your coral.
Yep.
So it's actually not as iconic at that moment as what it is in your other logo.
Yep.
And it steals from your logo, I believe. And again, now's the time. In my mind, what I see is these little brushes.
Yeah.
And I'd get the little brush as my bullet point. You understand my point?
I think so. That I should.
Okay, so each time you're making a point, you're brushing their face or you're brushing somewhere on their body. You'd like, see your shutter that you have down the bottom?
Mhm.
That actually is what people expect to see on the facial, right? As you're painting something on.
Yep.
And see the way the brush is laid out there?
Yep.
And as a bullet point, that would be you can imagine that as a bullet point.
Yep.
Seasonal peels, 30 minutes, boom. Skin, and now all of a sudden it looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
But it still connotates what you want it to connotate. And then again, when I go down, choose your focus. On that there, it's very hard to read. Right? And that might be because I've got old eyes with glasses on, but I still find it hard to read.
Yeah.
And again, that is, you need to research on the types of fonts you would be comfortable with that will make that pop off your page. The colors, I love colors anyway, so you're not going to get an argument with me on the colors and your bullet points. But they obviously match the stuff that you're doing, right? So how does aging fine lines and that color match with your little things over on the other side?
They don't match.
You see, now you're talking about being busy.
Yeah.
Which is to Gerry's point. It's hard to follow, right, Gerry?
I think so, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But it's not about getting rid of the colors. It's about making them color coordinated.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I found that hard to follow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so once again, it's not. It could be color coordinated, not palette coordinated.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I'm looking at this, and you know, I'm thinking that this could be around the place. This could be a little stick on that you can put in places beyond your own window.
Yeah.
So, you know, in supermarkets and places where you can stick them up, you know, all those places, right?
Hmm.
This would be really good, but it needs to be more color coordinated.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at this again, I think the pricing, we need to research the pricing a little bit better, and we need to run it with formulas,
Yes.
right? And work out the formulas and know where our lost leaders are. Do you understand what I mean by a lost leader?
Like similar to the tan, where I'm losing or I'm not making.
Yeah, but really, your lost leader is something that'll be high volume.
Yeah.
Your tan's not a high volume, is it?
No.
No. That's why when you price your tan, you price it to profit. When you're pricing your lost leaders, you're pricing what brings them in the door.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you get them in the door, what do?
Upsell and add value.
Yeah, upsell and add value. And it's like that's your moment. Like getting somebody in the door is a very expensive exercise. So you don't mind getting them in the door and having lost leaders, which means you're not making the profit that you want to make, but you're getting the exposure you want.
Yeah.
And so as you go down through this list, you have to really look at this thing. What's a lash lift? What the hell is that?
It's a lash perm. So you like perm, you know, the old perms that used to do to your hair?
Yeah.
You perm the lashes so they sit curled.
I only ask you because my daughter asked me. I said, how would I know?
For a lot of people get lash extensions, so it's like fake lashes. Whereas the lash lift, what it does is it gets your natural lashes and it curls and lifts them, so it opens up the eye. So it's sold a lot as like an instant eye lift because it brings the lashes right up and opens, and it lasts for between 4 to 8 weeks.
So that could be quite an interesting one, couldn't it? See, that's another one you might be able to hang your hat on.
Yep.
But it has to be educated. And as you educate it, the market really needs a red carpet ready. So you do specialized makeup?
Yes.
And you do it for $70?
Yes. We don't do a lot of makeup.
No, but you lose money on it too. And is it a lost leader? Would it get them into your shop?
No, I don't believe so. Not right now.
Right. So it is actually not serving its purpose.
No.
So you understand what I'm been doing in the last half hour?
Making me more aware of the pricing
and the products to push. Because our goal is $1,133 on a weekly basis. And our question is, having all these products, there's a thing about choice. When people have too many choices, it's indecision. When you've got more than 5 choices, you find that people are in a smorgasbord and they don't know how to decide. So you know what they decide to do?
Leave.
Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I do it all.
So at some moment, you have to be really clear. You've got to have all of these other things in your product line, but you have to have things that you genuinely want to do. Yeah. And they've got to be the things that you really like. What are the things that are going to bring them in the door? And what are the things we're going to upsell them in? And that will lead to our retailing side of what we're doing. because you've got retail space, but I'd be very surprised how much of the retail you actually sell.
Yeah, not a lot at the moment.
Yeah, and that's an expansion part of the business. We have to increase that size, and I think one of your issues is the packaging.
Yeah.
Right, it's Valentine's Day today. How many people have come in and bought their wife some cream?
Not many at all. Probably none.
But how many would like to come in there and say, oh gee, you know, do you have on your window Valentine's Day? Take her home some skincare.
Yeah.
You know, take her home some beauty products. You know, whatever it is. I mean, it's an opportunity to sell, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we've missed this year. But that's the sort of thinking I want you to have. Is like each time you get those days, how do you fill the day? Have you sent your significant other in to be pampered? Valentine's Day is about pampering.
Yeah.
Right? So why pamper with us? You understand my point? What am I doing now?
Trying to show us how to add value, or seize these days where there's opportunities.
It's like we want to be precise and concise, right? Remember when we spoke about that last time, didn't we? And so really what I'm wanting us to have is this. Disciplined, precise, concise communication. I want it to go right to the heart of what's going on. And by having a focus, like everyone's got a choice, right? We've got to focus. We can't give people too many choices. We've got to send them to where we want them to go. And our language has got to be the things that we really want to sell. Yeah. And as crass as it sounds, we have a goal. And that goal is to sell $1,133 a week. That's our goal. Or sorry, a day. Yeah, I nearly let you off the hook. And we really want to be at $7,000 a week.
Yep.
And we want to keep a scorecard so that we can be focused and disciplined. And we have no idea really right now which products are the ones that we want to promote. But we do know that we have to build a brand that says this is who we are. Right? Now, Gerry, how will you apply this to your business?
The discipline, precise and concise, you mean?
No, just the whole session.
Oh, I suppose, yeah, I can watch what I spend, definitely watch what I spend.
Okay, I'm going to give you a formula, Gerry.
Yep.
You're in the labor business, right?
Yes.
You've got to look at the hour that you spend, for every dollar that you spend in labor, that you pay your laborers or whatever you call them,
yep,
you've got to multiply that by 1.35 to get to what your true expense is for each individual's.
Okay.
There's no margin in that. Now you must have at least another 1.35 for profitability. Do you understand?
Yep.
Now when you're doing a quote, now you can understand whether you're on task or off task.
Okay.
So what does the dollar become at that moment?
$1.35.
Now take $1.35 and multiply it again by 1.35, and what do you get?
$1.82.
All right, so now you're at $1.82. So you take, if you're paying your workers $50,
yep,
how much should you be charging them out for?
$92.50.
And how much do you charge them out for now?
Around about 85.
So there's a little bit in the trough, right?
Mm.
But that doesn't mean to say the market will bear it. That's just how you've got to think about it.
Yep.
The market might bear the 86, but as your brain gets stronger, you know that it can be around 92.50. Is this making sense, Megan?
Yeah.
The same thing applies with the people in the shops. It's an accounting formula that was taught to me by accountants as to how to work out what I have to make. And so I don't know if it's really accurate, but I know I've used it for 30 years.
Yep.
And I know that when I'm doing it, it really does help me set pricing. And when you're looking at the pricing on the product, Megan, it's my experience that the minimum has to be 2.4 times what you think it is. So 6 times 2.4. But my preferred position is around 3 to 3.5. And you'd be surprised how many people use that formula. You understand my point?
Yeah,
That's why buying at 0.4 is almost castration.
I know.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you look at that, you've got it prices you right out of the market. That's why you can write this down. Profit is made when you buy. So you understand that, Gerry?
Yep. I do it a fair bit actually. A lot of the services that I provide, even like saw cutting and what I use a third party service, I make a phone call and then I put 20% on it. So for instance, I might charge a saw cutter might charge me $1,000. I still make $120 for making a phone call or more. You know, so some days I just, it's a 20-cent phone call and I've made money, you know, and I just put 20% on that person.
Yeah. You've made money, but have you made a profit?
Um,
Very big difference between making money and making a profit.
yeah.
Right? So 120 is probably what the market will accept.
Yep.
But my point to you is, why did you pay the $1,000?
Well, I don't. The builder would pay it, but I charge them an extra 20%. So the builder.
Yeah. You're still missing my point.
Yeah.
What happens if you can get the guy for $900?
Yeah.
And you still charge $120?
Yeah.
Profit is made against the 900 or the 1,000.
Yeah.
And so you can say the market will bear 1,000, but because I'm doing all the subcontracting on it, it's going to be 1,020. But what happens if you can get the saw cutter down to 800 and still charge $120 or 1,200?
Yeah. Well, actually, funny you say, because we're starting to do our own saw cuts now, and I picked up a cheap cutter, so I get my guys to do all the saw cuts, and then I charge them the same price.
Yeah, but hang on. How do you know what the price is? You see, I hear you dancing around being precise.
No, because I've been using the same cutter for about 3 years.
Okay, and so what's his market rate on cutting?
I've got all the figures there. I can give you all the figures.
Yeah, my point to you is that the market will bear $1,200.
Yep.
You know the market will bear that. So now what you've done is you've said, okay, I'll buy my own cutter Now, do you charge 1,000 or 1,200?
1,200.
Yes, because you've driven down what you paid for something, but you hold the price of what you're charging.
Yes.
That's why when you look at all your products in your salon, Meghan, the better we buy them, we can hold the price and we can make our margin without increasing the price.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
So we're near the end of this session. Any questions, any burnings that you have to bring up so that we can answer them?
I don't have any now.
No, the only thing I guess I had was with my menu, I sent that one off to print.
Yeah, and again, Meghan, that's business.
Yep.
And would I tell you to throw it away? No.
Yep.
That's how you test the market.
Yeah. And
We're only giving you feedback now because, you know, our feedback now might take place in 3 months from now.
yeah.
You've got to function today. I have no issue at all with you sending it to the printer. What I'm already doing is giving you feedback from what you fed forward.
Yeah.
Now, your customers are far more important than the advice I give you, right? I can give you ideas and advice, but ultimately the customer is going to tell you whether they like it or they don't like it.
Yeah.
You've sent it off to the print. How many did you get printed?
Only 1,000.
No problem. Let's get 1,000 out as fast as we can get them out.
Yeah.
You know, and let's not keep them in the shop. Let's get Gerry doing some exercises with those dogs.
Yeah.
Right? No, you do a letter drop.
Yeah.
You know what I'd be doing, Meghan? I don't know whether you've ever done this. In the shopping center you're in, have you called on every business in that shopping center?
I've tried to.
Well, that's not what I asked. Have you called on every? Do you know who all the managers are? Do you know who all the people are?
No, not now.
Okay. One of the smartest things you can do is take that around and say, "Hey, I'm the Haven Beauty Bar in here, and we want you to know that we don't distinguish whether you're men or women. We can make you beautiful anyway."
Yep.
And you say, "I'm Meghan, I'm the owner, and I'm out looking for business." You'll be surprised what that does.
Okay.
And if you don't have everybody in your center talking about you, then you haven't done your job. You understand my point? And you know, I'd be taking Byron with me too.
Yeah.
I'm a working mom with a business, and I got to get out there. And they'll say, you know what people will say to you? I'd bet on it. Gee, it's great to see someone taking an initiative to promote who they are. Never leave any of the businesses if they've got a card. Always take a card with you. Give a card, take a card. Do you understand my point? Because our job is to expose you. And you'll be very surprised. You won't even have to try and sell anything. You'll just have to say, hey, I'm the owner of this business and I want more business. I could be busier. You understand, Gerry?
Yes.
Okay, now what should you do?
Exactly the same.
Yeah, but how would you do it?
I could either do lettered box drops, like you say, or how could I contact other businesses? Make phone calls?
Okay, let me give you the tip.
Yep.
You're doing a job somewhere, right? Either side, front and back.
Yep. Just go, yeah, okay.
And if you carry those little things and say, I'm iconic concrete, and you've got a little message, and wherever you've done a job, you've got to be proud of your job.
Yep.
And so instead of going out and rushing and looking and say, hey, I'm doing this job next door, just thought I'd let you know. I hope we don't disrupt you too much. But if you ever need a job like this, I'm your guy. I'm the owner of this business. Here's my card. Here's what we do. If you find anything, just let me know. If you know anybody, let me know. How much effort is that?
Very minimal.
5-minute phone call, mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand my point? What did that cost you?
Nothing.
Well, there's a cost to it. It's an exposure cost. You got to expose yourself and say, we do a great job,
Yeah.
and we're proud of our job, and ask the people next door what a great job we did. And your job is either side and across, boom. So that can be 2, 4, 5.
Yep.
You understand my point?
Yes.
So we could call it the 2, 4, 5. Instead of turning the pork over for 5 minutes on one side, you've got what you call the 2, 4, 5.
Yep.
You understand my point? Yep. And so you are extremely well branded, right? And what you need to do is take your brand and expose it, and not be lazy about it.
Yeah.
All right. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So you've got a 2, 4, 5 marketing strategy.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. So, Meghan, how do you feel? What do you take away?
I feel good. I take away a better understanding of my figures and a better understanding of how to move forward with my pricing. And understanding how to look at my margin and my profit. That's probably the biggest thing I take away from today. Because I've kind of always run my menu by looking at what other people do, and I've never really understood how to properly work out pricing. So I think that's really interesting.
Well, we got a long way to go on that, but I'm sure we'll get better.
Yeah. It's good to kind of understand the basics, because now when I look at things, I'm starting to look at everything a bit differently. So even from our last meeting, I'm looking at things very differently.
Yeah.
Gerry, how do you feel, and what do you take away from today?
I feel like I've got a lot of work to do. I feel
Yeah, you do, Gerry.
I know. Which is good. I'm thankful that we're starting to do something. Put it that way. I'm really grateful for that. What I've taken away today was a couple of words that Kelly said was words tell you a story, but numbers measure that story, I suppose, it's so true though. And just touching on those numbers and going through those maths a little bit earlier and punching some numbers in there sort of showed me a couple of things I didn't know about. So yeah, I've taken that away today. Very interesting. Know your numbers. I need to know my numbers a bit better. I should be able to just run off the top of my head. That's what I'm paying for this. This is what I'm paying for that. I want to get to that stage in my business, so I know what everything pretty much cost me down to the dollar, and then you can always go back and look at it later. So numbers, it's a numbers game.
Yeah, let me give you another tip. It's a volumes game too.
Yeah.
So when you have 15 people working for you, and you've got all that going on, you're at great risk.
Yes.
So you got to mitigate your risk.
Yep.
And you start to say, obviously it's a bigger pour.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Question is, can you reduce your expense on the pour?
I can.
Because you're now going to get into an economy of scale.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. So there's a lot more to go, but you guys have got good sound common sense.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people don't have common sense.
Yeah.
What are you smiling about, Meghan?
We always
talk about common sense. I say to Meghan, I said, I mightn't be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I've got a lot of common sense. A lot of it. Or street smart. She goes, oh, you got street smarts. I said, well, call it what you want. I think it's common sense.
Yeah, and really, you can hear both of you got common sense.
Yeah.
And all we're doing is sharpening it up so that you have more sense.
Yeah.
Right? We say, okay, well, let's look at this. Always remember that you're feeding something forward. Whether you like it or not, there's feedback.
Yeah.
It's a choice to feed forward. It's not a choice to get feedback. It's going to come anyway.
Yeah.
So Megan, to your point, I would not be in the least concerned about your 1,000 pamphlets that you printed. My only thing is how can I get them out as fast as I possibly can? And it's like a campaign, and let the campaign tell the story, right? And let everything else do what it needs to do. And we'll measure it, and we'll be ruthlessly honest.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
We have choice. Okay.
Kelly, how do you feel today, and what do you take away?
Well, I take away that you guys are two great students. And that's all you can ask, is if you go out and you do it. Megan, I really caution you to take on too much. It's now time to use what's between here.
Yeah.
Right? And it really is time. You do an awful lot, and I can hear it. And, you know, I can hear Gerry's more laid back, but I know he's a hard worker. Right? And so we just need to bundle all that up, and I think that we can do. I think you'll be very surprised.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if we couldn't turn iconic concrete into millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
The Haven, the single bar will need a lot of bars to do the same thing, and that's what we have to do. It really is that simple. But it's a matter of taking our choices and working with our choices.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm happy for that. I'm just going to turn off the recording now.